big business is not serving dentists, it's serving stakeholders. And whenever possible, you want to work with, companies who are there to serve dentists.
Welcome to the Dental Construction Insider, the podcast you need if you're a dentist wanting to open your own practice. Today, I'm your host, Tommy, and today we're with Emily Lingo, and today we're talking about Emily Lingo. So, anyhow, Emily, thanks for coming on. We have our normal co-host here, John, and Veronica, our boss, and me. So, and Erica is behind the scenes there. So, anyhow, Emily, how long has it been?
Since I've seen you or since we've known each other?
I mean, no. Okay, yeah. How long has it been since I've seen you first?
Okay, well, I saw you back in June for the SheEO event. You guys sponsored that event back in Austin. But I think I've known you since about 2016.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I think was it an Ashby where we started together?
Back at Ashby.
I mean, even that, but it was before that, though. You were at West Overhills?
No. I was never a part of that chapter.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
Ashby was the
Ashby,
first place.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's a long time.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Chandeliers over my desk. I felt like a
Yeah.
princess going to work every day, even though it was a call center.
I know. Do you remember that? Putting all the crystals and all that? That was Veronica's part. We'd put all the lights up and just the base of the lights, and then we'd leave all the crystals and everything at every stage for Veronica, because Veronica's job
I had to wear gloves.
was to put all the crystals. So she'd put on the white gloves, and then she'd get the instructions,
White glove
and she would put
service.
them on
Yeah,
there.
it came with the chandelier.
It came with
but
the chandelier. So it came with a set of white gloves for every chandelier.
So you don't leave all the your oils in the.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they ever got dusted, but after, they were nice. Anyhow, yeah, so that was a while back. Hey, so, yeah, SheEO, we'll go back to that. So just kind of give everybody an idea of how you started in the business.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. So back in 2014, I was actually just putting myself through college. I was trying to get a degree in epidemiology and public health, and I just needed a part-time job. And a friend of mine was like, hey, my family has a dental call center, and, it's the perfect part-time job for somebody putting themselves through school. I was like, for sure, let's go.
Yeah.
And, that's where it all kind of started. And I was answering phone calls for dental practices, and, I was actually in a car accident about a year later.
Really?
Yeah, it was a 18-wheeler, 20-car pileup, and I had 3 herniated vertebrae, and I couldn't walk, across UTSA anymore. I would walk, 3 miles a day going across campus. And so I went from working at the call center, 4 hours a day to full-time. I was like, okay, I'm going to be, sedentary for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I was like, man,
wow,
we could be doing things differently. And I was like, have you guys tried doing this before? Or have you tried doing a cheat sheet? And Scott, I think, was like, who is this chick? And so that was kind of the beginning of me showing interest and wanting more than, just answering phone calls. And so more time passes, and I took some time off from getting my degree. And at that point, we moved from this mansion of a house to actually having a real office.
Yeah.
And Breakaway grows, and there's a marketing company, and there's a call center, and there's IT, and there's consulting, and there's education. And I said, all right, guys, back's better. I'm going back to school. I had actually signed up to be a dental assistant.
Oh, wow.
And I guess word got back to the CEO, Scott Luna, who I owe my entire career to. He's like, wait, no, she can't leave. We want her to stay. And he was like, look, become my executive assistant. We're about to merge with this big company, and we'll make space for you, and I'll teach you all the things. And so I said, yes, let's just take an opportunity. And so a couple of years pass, and DentalWell acquires Breakaway, and there's this huge merger. And I'm sitting in on all of these meetings with all these, really important people, and I'm really just there, sitting, taking notes. I'm not contributing or anything. I'm just kind of like a fly on the wall. But there's beauty in learning, right, and always listening, and
Absorbing.
absorbing. And my grandmother always told me, it doesn't matter if it's a janitor or the CEO of a company, you just have to absorb and learn from every person that you meet. And so that was a very pivotal moment of time. And again, I tried to leave, and I was like, I'm going to go to hygiene school. That I've had enough. And it's so interesting. Like, I've had this theme in my life where I constantly try to level up. Like, that's the theme of
Yeah, more skills.
once you feel that moment of stagnation, it's time to push for growth and push for challenge. And again, there was an opportunity for consulting, and that was really attractive to me. And at the time, Breakaway actually had a consulting program, and the director of consulting had actually up and left, kind of out of the blue, just left a laptop and a Dropbox, and they said, Emily, if you want to take this on, it's yours.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, I'm up for the challenge again. And that was the beginning of my consulting career. And again, just really applying all the things that I learned from being a fly on the wall. Okay, this is my moment to actually really apply it. And, ever since then, I helped open 75 practices, and, I became a director of operations at a marketing agency after that. And, I've still been doing independent consulting. I've founded a nonprofit with some lovely women here in San Antonio that empowers women in dentistry. And now I'm the director of client experience at SurfCT, and this is now empowering kind of the next generation of dentistry forward. So that is everything I've done in the last 10 years. That's 2014 to 2024. So it's been a wild ride, and I really owe it to a lot of amazing people who gave me an opportunity and were willing to teach me. And also me knowing when to, ask the right questions and knowing when to kind of push myself a little bit further.
Well, that's how I learned what I learned. Specifically, in the trade, doing the work. Back then there was really no per se program. It was you go to school or you learn on the job, or there's different avenues, but you had to be more of a union shop to do that. Yeah. And so I had to do a lot. And I've told you this 100 times, right? You can learn a lot from just listening to somebody. You just listen. You're like a fly on the wall. So they say it all the time, right? The better rooms that you're in, with the higher level people, just listening, you can learn a lot from just listening, especially, with high level people like that. So, well, that's good. Yeah, I remember when there was that whole shift, and you came in and took over that program because we both worked together at the old company for a long time.
Yeah,
John was there too. I mean, John started out in phones too, right?
Absolutely.
We have
Emily was actually, I believe. The one that gave me training tips and stuff. Actually, I think you did train me on phones.
I did do training at one point. It's all a blur.
But you're also a pod leader. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, because you were a pod leader, and I remember that because I would go to you and ask you. It's odd, but in construction, there was weird questions that I'd have to go to you.
Yes.
And I was like, shit, where's Emily? This freaking floor is huge, and there's all these people in there, and I'm like, oh, there she is, and I would go and ask you things about a particular office I was working with or something, because they had asked me, and I said, well, I can ask the person that's in charge of the whole answering your company. But yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. If we think about how far back it was,
right?
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
I know, and we've had an episode where it talks about, how we're Veronica's background, of course, which is very unique, and then John's and mine, but we haven't put that out yet because I think I didn't finish mine or something, or we started because...
Yeah, we didn't finish yours because we ran out of time.
We ran out of time because back then we had batteries on the cameras.
Oh, okay.
So we were doing it old school way. And so
But we've upgraded to plug
what do we
in.
do, Erica? We'd have to go... talk really fast and try to get, the 20 minutes we get out of the batteries. Anyhow, those are the old days. So you're at SurfCT now?
Yes.
And they're a dental IT company, or?
I love this question. I love this question because SurfCT is not a dental IT company. I think that's the misconception.
Okay.
And so SurfCT was founded in 2002 by Paul Vigario, who's our, founder and CEO. And the company has evolved. And, let's talk about that because you guys open new practices, and whether it's existing and relocations or new practices, new build outs, you guys are constantly dealing with the norm. And the norm would be working with IT companies, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a narrative and there's a norm that you need an IT company, right? And they're going to come in and help you with your IT infrastructure. But what does that actually mean? In your opinion, talk to me about IT infrastructure and the norms, and I can tell you about why SurfCT is not an IT company.
Well, I mean, when they ask us for a referral, like,
Yeah.
hey, do you work with, we know you guys work all over the country, all over the U.S., and we need an IT company. Who do you recommend? I'm like, well, I mean, we give them a list of 3 because we're trying to be neutral
For sure.
and not to show favoritism because that's not our job, right?
Yeah.
Our job is to look out for the best interest of the doc. And so we'll give them a referral. But from what I know that they need from a construction standpoint, is the company that comes in and does all the cabling,
Low voltage.
right? All the low voltage wiring, all the penetrations, making all the after it's coming out for trim out. Then they do all the TV mount. They mount the TVs and monitors. They run they patch down and punch down all the cabling and set the rack up and then they do the continued monitoring, right, for the service. But that's all I know.
Yeah.
I've heard other people say like, well, you got to have a company that's HIPAA compliant, a company that does this other stuff. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Because,
It's not in our wheelhouse.
I'm in our wheelhouse. I stay in our lane. I just need them to do what I need to do so I can close the walls for inspection. And then when we turn the office over, make sure that they put the TVs, mount monitors and keyboards and all that stuff where the doctor wants them or the front staff wants them. And then
And do the grommet holes and
damn
stuff.
grommet holes, man. I
I know.
swear,
Damn.
man. I want the grommet hole over here. No, the front staff says, no, I want it over here. I'm like, it's got to be by the power.
It doesn't matter. Logistically, it has to be here.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that because that's the norm, right? And what really needs to happen is you need to connect. Let's take it back to the very beginning where you have a brand and you have a dentist and there's a vision. And you have to connect that with your design choices, and you have to connect that with your technology choices. And technology would be workflow and also impacts your IT infrastructure. So that's part of what we do, but really what we're here to do is really connect and align the whole entire thing. And what you just said is really important, which is a lot of dentistry operates in silos, right? You're like, I'm just here to make sure that the IT gets installed and that we pass inspections, right? And the dentist is like, I just need to check off the box. I need a marketing agency. I need an IT company. I need to get credentialing done, right? And so what happens is you start operating in silos and nobody is coming in and connecting things from a strategic standpoint. And that doesn't benefit the dentist. Like, how is that serving the dentist?
Would you say that also leads to a lack of like an experience level, right?
Yeah, that then impacts your patient experience,
Sure,
right?
sure,
And so that actually brings up a good point. So SurfCT believes that to have a vision, you need a brand,
right?
and design, technology, and patient experience. Like, those are the 4 components.
Yeah.
And so if you don't think through those things and connect them all, then you're not doing it right. And so yes, we do technically do the technology workflow, and we do come out and we have our engineers and we do the installs, and we're helping with the TV mounts and doing all the things. But we're actually involved much earlier in the process. And where we begin is with branding. And if you look at our clientele and you look at our portfolio, our clients set themselves apart naturally because we think through, what does the dentist want, right? And how does that impact design, technology, IT, right? Because IT isn't just IT. It's so much bigger than that. And it could be things like I had a dentist. I had 4 dentists in 1 week, which I found mind-boggling, asked me the same question. They all had the same pain point. They were like, I need technology because I'm having this issue where I don't know how to communicate with my staff and my staff doesn't know how to communicate with me on how I need to workflow through the office when I have a patient who needs a hygiene check, I have a patient who needs a consult, a patient who needs a filling, and I'm constantly doing like this song and dance throughout the practice, but it doesn't make any sense. And I'm doing sticky notes and they're texting me and they're coming in and bothering me and I'm in the middle of a root canal. And so really that's just the symptom of not automating and not thinking through things, right? And that's because somebody during the design process didn't think about
That's very interesting, yes,
Yeah.
because it's not just like patient experience, because we all think that maybe it ends there, right? But to make it even more efficient, and again, like you're saying, to separate yourself even more, I think that's very interesting. Where you're also incorporating, yes, it's workflow, but it's also your staff experience. But then there's also the experience of the client, which you're onboarding. So that the doctor's client, or I'm sorry, the doctor's experience with you, the patient experience with the office,
Yes.
and then the staff experience, maintaining something that's going to be efficient to take yourself to the next level, right? And to keep on pushing forward.
It almost sounds like your company is like a startup company, like that help not just with the IT, but you said you like to start in the beginning, so you guys like to start in design also?
Yeah. So typically, as soon as a dentist has essentially committed to the startup journey, they involve us. So they reach out to us thinking they need an IT company, and then we talk them through, okay, well, let's talk about your brand, let's talk about technology, let's talk about your design choices. And so we don't replace the architects, we're not replacing equipment
designer.
companies, we're actually collaborating with all of those vendors. Like, for example, this morning I was on a meeting with an amazing architecture firm based out of Boston, and we have 3 clients that we have in common, and none of the clients were actually on the call. It was just SurfCT and this amazing architecture firm, but because we know the client's vision so well, we can just, on their behalf, just meet with these architecture studios and be like, okay, let's talk about design. And the dentists don't have to worry about answering the questions, because let's be honest, you're a dentist. Do you really know the answers to these questions when you're talking to an architect on your IT closet and workflow and your reception? They're kind of just guessing through these. And they don't understand how those questions actually are going to impact the flow of the office, right? And so we're basically just helping them realize your selections and your decisions on architecture and design and technology are impacting your brand and also your patient experience.
Okay, so let me help me to understand this better. So then when they reach out to you guys, then you and they say, well, I'm in the design phase right now, but I just wanted to reach out to you guys there. And you all say, well, great.
Yeah, we can take you on.
Great. That's where we want to be. So then you guys will start helping them with, or you'll start collaborating with the actual designer, the architect, whoever the designer is.
Yes.
And then making choices of not only where you're going to put your speaker, your TV, your monitor, but maybe other aspects. Because I've seen lighting looks like it's really key in some of the offices that you guys done.
Yeah.
And so I don't see that in normal startup offices. So of course, the startup offices we
Yeah.
work with have really tight budgets. And so that's what gets me mind boggled, because to see some of those finishes and design features in those offices are higher end. And so I'm wondering how y'all were able to maintain still having this high end look, and how you guys are value engineering that down to be able to give them that look.
Yeah.
With all the IT, bells and whistles that I've seen in these offices,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. I mean, bells and whistles. They look great. I mean, some of
Yeah.
them are like, damn, I'd like to have that too.
Yeah.
I saw some of the, I've seen some of the commercials, and I think what caught my eye was there was one where I think the owner had they were at the Raiders game, and I was like, what? And it was on LinkedIn. And I was like, wow, who's this company? And then I started looking, and I was like, man, these are like some really nice, technical features. I think we recommended them to a couple of guys that were like very specific. They had higher budgets. I don't know if they ever reached out, and we just told them to like look it up, because we didn't have a contact there at the time, but now we do.
Yes.
So
No, you do.
Now we do.
Emily at SurfCT.
Yeah, there we go. And so, and they were like, we're getting a lot of OMS offices now,
Yes.
a lot of surgical centers. We're getting a lot of those, and so some of those are like 3,000 square feet, but like 3 chairs, or 4,000 square feet and like 4 chairs. I mean, they're like huge with, our very minimal treatment rooms, or huge treatment rooms, and they want to be able to have nicer stuff that they need for those kind of patients. So
Right.
that's understandable. Okay, so yeah, going back, you guys like to be in the design phase, and it sounds like a little bit of the marketing phase, because you talked
Yes.
about branding.
Specifically branding, because
Branding.
branding and marketing are very different. Like, your brand is your outward external image, your logo, your brand, what you stand for, and really what people know you for, and at a glance, in a couple of seconds, what people are going to perceive you as,
Yeah.
right? And our goal is to get organic growth for our clients. So organic meaning your brand is recognizable. So like with Starbucks, I think I saw a study the other day that like the average person in the US has seen the Starbucks logo like 8,000 times or something like
Yeah.
that. So you've seen the logo enough to have brand recognition, right?
Yep.
And so the issue with dental practices and the norm in the industry is that you think you need to spend $3,000 on Google ads. Like, we think that's normal because you focused on the wrong thing. You didn't focus on getting
Yeah.
brand recognition,
Yeah.
right? And so we focus on brand recognition, meaning we're trying to push your logo as much as possible. And I'm not going to say what the secret sauce is because there's different ways of doing that. But
Yeah.
we're basically very strategic with, for example, placement of a logo in a practice and strategic about maybe taking photos with a patient and then how we engage with social media. And so we're really not a marketing company. Like, we're not going to replace a marketing company.
Yeah, that's not
We're
what you
here-
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're here to focus on your brand and make sure that your brand is consistent with your design, technology, and treatment philosophy, because those are very different things, and your brand's very different from marketing. And if we do a good enough job, hopefully, you don't need to have an ongoing marketing budget. Now, obviously, there's the reality of things like demographics and competition, but branding and marketing are two separate things, and we collaborate with marketing companies. We're not replacing them.
Yeah.
We're focused on brand consistency
Yeah.
throughout the practice experience.
Now, okay, so that's I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. Wow. Yeah. So it's a lot more than an IT company.
Yeah.
An IT
And
vendor.
there were a couple of things that you said a couple minutes ago that I do want to touch on. And you were saying, like, I think another misconception that dentists think is they look at images online. Like, if you look at our social media, you look at a practice and you're like, man, that has to be expensive.
Yeah, that's what worries me.
Or that SurfCT must cost an arm and a leg, and that's actually not the truth. Like, there's smart ways of doing things, and we're in the business of serving a dentist. Like, we're never going to sell a dentist something that they don't need. Like, we have dentists all the time that come to us and say, sell me everything, I want to be successful. And we're like, doc, you actually don't need all the bells and whistles, right? We're not the bells and whistles selling company. We're in here's the reality, here's what you don't need. Like, we're actually frequently telling dentists, you don't need that. There's a simpler way of doing it. And there's smarter ways of doing build outs where you can, like, let's be honest, dentists want to focus on the chairs. Like, they want a $15,000 chair.
I know, yeah.
Guess what? The patient doesn't know it's a $15,000
No.
chair, but what they do know is that the lobby looks nice.
Yeah. So
Why not do A+ finishes on your lobby and C- finishes on the ops? Right? So there's different ways of value engineering or doing things or thinking about design choices. But we're always going to try to make sure our dentists are on or under budget in every way we can.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing we do. We try to put the wow factor in the lobby and the
With the tall ceilings or
clinical
whatever.
hallway, sort of. Yeah, sort of the clinical hallway, because you don't want it to seem like just a hallway.
Yeah.
But when you get into the ops or treatment rooms, then it's kind of just is how much it's going to cost and is it going to hurt me?
Right.
Pretty much. So, yeah, I mean, those are typical what we do. I mean, what is in the industry. Value engineering is key when you want when you have a tight budget, and that's understandable. So that's for the most part, it's that's a yin and a yang, right? You got to have an IT company.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
You got to have a marketing company. You got to have, and then how they're all cohesive is what matters. Branding is like the word right now. I mean, it's pretty much everything, because social media, everybody is pretty much on social media.
You have to be. If you're not on it,
Yeah.
you're already losing.
Yeah. If you're a
Yeah.
company that doesn't want to do it because of whatever reason, because you don't want Zuckerberg knowing all your stuff, then they know it anyway, man.
They already know it.
They already know. I know. Shoot. Anyhow, did you have something to say? It looked like.
I kind of just like the approach that you're taking, kind of by bringing it up in a certain type of way, which I think it's a really good way for growth and longevity, is realizing the interconnectivity of everything, and kind of how you were discussing earlier. It's an important kind of way to think about it, because it's something that not very many other people are going to take the time to analyze and kind of really break down and realize how many small little knobs that you can change to kind of affect the bigger picture. So,
and for us, I mean, we like to be involved in the design phase, whoever the designer is.
Right.
We're not that company that's like,
no preferences.
Right. We like to, we like to just, be involved so we can help, set some realities during the process, because the truth is that some guys are going to design things, over design something, or over engineer things, and we have to
Those
go
darn
back.
architects.
And damn engineers, we have to go back and kind of scale some of that stuff back because let's face it, we're doing this all over the U.S. and there's different costs from
yeah.
Seattle to Florida, right? I mean, that's a huge spectrum from Southern California to New York,
Or Texas.
Midwest to Texas.
Yeah.
Texas is where you should build. I mean, that's got some of the lowest cost. Midwest is not so bad either, but I mean, everywhere further away from the central you get, it gets pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see. That's pretty neat the way you guys collaborate all your branding stuff. So what do you do there at SurfCT specifically then?
Yeah, so I am officially the director of client experience.
Okay.
And I would say my role is really to serve the dentists who are in our program, right? And I would say you asked, like, at what point do we get brought on, and do we still work with them even if they already have their plans done?
Sure.
We really do. We
That's
really
true.
do tailor and curate the SurfCT experience and meet them wherever they are. Because here's the honest truth: like, dentists will come to us with a full set of plans, or dentists will come to us and they just signed their lease, right? So we meet them where they are, and yes, if you have a full set of plans that we can't necessarily go back and change anything, no problem. Let's see what we can do from a technology perspective, right? So we meet them where they are. And in terms of what my role is, it's really just meeting with these dentists. And typically we have like a recurring meeting series. It's a long journey. You guys know this. I would say oftentimes if it's an interior build out, it's hopefully 4 to 6 months, unless you're permitting like in Florida, who knows? Maybe it's going to be a year.
2 years.
2 years.
In
Right.
California, 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ground ups are even longer.
Oh, yeah.
So there's just a lot of just noise that happens on these projects. And so we're also there to kind of work with them through the noise and all the random stuff that kind of just comes up. And there's also just a lot of other things that we do in guiding them throughout the process. But I'm really there to just work one-on-one with the dentist as we're working through things.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Well, there's nobody really more experienced that I can think of there than you that does that, because you've started from phones all
Seen
the
all
way
the
to where you
angles.
are. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
I've seen
it.
all the angles.
You've
Yes.
definitely seen all the angles.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
all
that's
about
good.
perspective.
Yeah. And so CEO, tell us about that.
Yes.
I mean, that's the last time we saw you. I don't know when that was.
June.
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 So
Yeah.
3
Yes.
months.
By the way, I don't know if I ever directly told you guys thank you, but thank you for sponsoring our last
You're welcome.
event
Oh, yeah.
back in
It was fun.
June. Thank you. It was
Yeah,
a
it
great
was fun.
turnout at Soho
Yeah.
and Austin.
Yeah.
I feel like the Austin crowd always
Yeah.
knows how to
Party.
Party.
I'm like, how do y'all find those event places? I mean, that was like, I was like, man.
How do you get in?
How do you get? So Soho is actually a social club. I don't know if you guys knew that, but Soho is a social club that you pay a membership for, and the membership's something crazy. And they, when you apply to be a member, they ask you all these crazy things like your income and your job and all this
wow.
stuff. And I'm not that I agree with it, but anyway,
Yeah. It was a nice
you
place.
could just use them for a venue too.
Right.
But
Oh, okay, got it.
yes. So we actually have another event coming up next week in San Antonio this time. I would say right now, CEO is really focused in Southern Texas because that's where, the 4 founders are. We have me, we have Lauren from B of A,
Yeah.
Nicole from Transcendental, and Dr. Sahar, who's actually opening her cosmetic practice in Austin in a couple of
Oh,
months.
nice. Okay.
So it's the 4 of us. And right now, we're really just focused on community.
Yeah.
And we're actually meeting in a couple of weeks for our annual strategic alignment meeting and talking about what 2025 is going to bring, because we just started this venture, we just started this mission, and we really want to make sure there's alignment, because you can get big real fast if you want
Yeah.
to. And, we've had the big business companies reach out to us and want to get involved. But to be very honest, we want to be aligned with the right people. Because if you look at the market, actually, let's play a little game. Let's play a guessing game.
Oh, gosh.
If you had to guess, actually, you're going to guess how big in dollars globally, how big the dental industry is.
Oh.
Oh, it's like 10 billion.
Okay.
I'd say 100 billion.
Okay.
60. I'll do 60.
Veronica, you win. You're the closest.
Really?
It's actually 200 billion,
Wow.
and it's
Wow.
bigger than NBA, F1.
Then F1?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. All the sports teams, combined.
NFL?
NFL, NBA,
Wow.
Major League Baseball, F1 combined.
Dang.
Which
That's
is
crazy.
Absolutely wild. Like, you wouldn't think that. I certainly wouldn't think it'd be bigger than
No.
F1 or
No.
even the NFL, which is just mind-boggling. But the reason that's important is because with that much money comes the desire for, like, power and control
Yeah.
and
Agreed.
big business and greed. And once you understand, like, dentistry is a beautiful industry, but it's being controlled by shareholders, and it's not necessarily serving dentists. And
Right.
and with CEO, it's specifically geared to empower women in dentistry. And I think take dentistry out of it, but women, in any industry have had it the hardest. And so we're trying to protect the climate and protect the community and make sure that whether you're a vendor or a sponsor or a dentist, that you're really here for the mission and to support the group, and that you're not just another big business trying to push,
Yeah.
a service that doesn't necessarily align with truly supporting a female entrepreneur, right? And so when we talk about what CEO is, right now it's a community.
Yeah.
In 2025, I think what we're pushing for is a network to support female dentists. So we really want to push to see more female dentists become practice owners, but with the right support. And you can even apply this to what SurfCT is trying to do. I think there's a lot of dentists that are opening practices, like a lot of the dentists that you guys help, that find you guys, that they kind of, like, you guys are just managing the construction portion, right?
Yep.
Construction
Right.
management, keeping them on budget. But if you only knew what decisions they were making on marketing, like, you'd be like, oh my God, I wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
And so they think that they're hiring these teams that are businesses that are going to support them.
Yeah.
But really, if you look at who owns these businesses and their agendas, those are stakeholders that are just going back into the industry, right? There's a game that's being played, and that game is really
Well, yeah. I
played
mean,
against dentists, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like all the equipment providers, right? It doesn't matter what name you throw out there, they all own a little bit of each other. And that all goes to the same group of people at the top.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't realize that. They think that they're really all separate companies. For the most part, they are, but they all have a stake or an investment in each other, which is,
Yeah.
something that I learned along the way, and something that we're a specific, vendor that does a specific task for the dentist at one of the most crucial times of their startup, of their journey, right? 3-4 years out of dental school or something like that. Then they decide they got enough time and experience and maybe capital or the right credit score to be able to do that. And they decide they want to do that. Well, then, it's a freaking sizable, venture,
Yeah.
right? And so they come to us because construction is one of the biggest numbers that's out there. And so we try to help, keep that on budget and on time. And, back at working at the old company, I mean, I was in those meetings with the different business units, and you would hear different things that people were doing and stuff. And so every so often I'll throw a few things out that somebody will ask me specifically to tell them, but I'm like, I know this, but I'm not an expert in it.
Right.
I've only heard this, and it makes sense to me. So to me, that's plausible because it makes sense. But you need to talk to your marketing company. You need to talk to your startup consultant that you're using, because they could be using one of the big ones, and ask them specifically, because I can't tell you other than what I see and what I know. And I'll focus on the construction over here, and you focus on the business part. Because you guys, I mean, you did the business part. I mean, that's crucial.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't have that 100-thing checklist that you're not following, that they're doing and they're not following, and then it could be disastrous for
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and that's good that y'all are able to kind of help be another advocate for them beyond just the IT. Branding is so big right now. I mean, it's like we said before earlier. It's just its own network, its own thing. It's its own coaching thing that people are doing for everybody.
Yeah. And like there's these trends that happen, right? Where, like, there's like a buzzword, and then everybody's like demure happened last week, and you're like, what does it even mean?
I just heard about that one. Yeah.
But like but with brand is so important. Like your brand is your legacy, and your brand is what patients go home and tell their, like, if I'm a patient leaving your practice, what am I saying to my husband about the visit, right? And so your brand is so much more than what these people are selling online. So like my advice, if you're a dentist listening to this, is just be careful like who you trust with your practice, and do your research, and try to be weary and cognizant of the fact that, big business is not serving dentists, it's serving stakeholders. And whenever possible, you want to work with, companies who are there to serve dentists. And you can, it's all about asking the right questions, asking smarter questions.
Yeah.
I think dentists are dentistry in general is at a very golden age at this point, where like we don't know where the next 10 to 20 years are going to go. And I think there's like this new group of dentistry that's happening where there's traditional dentistry that's always been done, private practice, that are kind of like staying on this box and are like, no, I want to keep doing things this way.
Yeah.
And then there's like this new birth of dentists that is like, no, we're going to completely disrupt things and change things. And then there's DSOs that obviously are kind of dominating in a different way. And it's like 3 different breeds that are all happening, and who knows? But I feel like we're all contributing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a dentist or a dental business or a small business consultant. Like if you work in the dental industry, you're contributing to what the next 10 to 20 years are going to be. So why not advocate for serving the dentist versus serving the game? But I think the only way to win is to be aware of the game that's being played, and just the only way to exit is to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
And if you don't think outside of the box, then you're contributing to dentists being played as pawns, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll get dentists that'll reach out to us and call us and ask us like, hey, I saw your podcast or your TikTok or whatever on social media, and I want to talk to you more about your services and what you do. And it was like, yeah, let's have a call. And then they're like, we'll have a 5-10 minutes into the call. They see that we're the same damn people. We're genuine. We're real. And
Authentic is so important.
yeah, exactly. And so then they're like, hey, we want to hire you. I'm like, great. But let's talk a little bit more. Let's make sure that we're the right fit. I don't want to waste your money, anybody's money. I'm not looking to just take an easy gravy job or anything like that.
Right.
That's they've got plans. They've already got a contractor. They've already got
Yeah.
It has to be something specific then that I can help them with. That maybe because if they've got some things already lined up, well then why do they need our services for? But there could be an outstanding thing that's going on with them, like maybe they're out of the country, they're moving to another state, or
it's taking the project like over a year.
Yeah.
But here's the
Sometimes I got
all that
beauty
stuff,
of what
and
you
so-
just said is a lot of people would just take their money.
Yes, and
But
we're not,
that's
we're not
not,
like
that.
we're not those
We're not
people.
doing
We're
that.
going to be the first ones to tell you when you don't need us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Or you don't need the extra things.
Especially like with small remodels, it's like you don't need.
Oh
us
yeah,
for
we get
small-
those all the time. Like, hey, I want to turn
we'll
one
give
on.
you names of contractors locally, but we won't manage it because it's not worth their money.
So here in San Antonio, we do small projects. So the big dental equipment or dental construction companies, they're like, hey, it's kind of small for us. If you guys want to take care of it, we're like, yeah, fine. They'll pass it on to us. The doc will call us, and it's like turning the doc's office into an operatory or a treatment room, or maybe they want to replace some of the cabinets or the flooring or the paint. And we'll look at that and we'll go look and see like, yeah, okay, well, we can do this. We'll have to do it, after hours. If they tell us like, oh, we want to do it in like 2 days, we have like Saturday and Sunday to do it. And then they're like, hold on, yeah, we can't do that. That's not realistic, and then we'll see like, maybe we're not the right fit for something like that. But for small repairs and things like that, we'll do that stuff ourselves only in San Antonio.
Yes.
Because one of the 3 of us have to be here to be able to keep eyes on that. And
To
that's the whole
oversee a
problem.
project, yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole
Yeah.
problem with that kind of stuff is that you have to be there. One of us has to be there to be able to manage that.
Construction
or to watch.
oversight.
Yeah, because that would screw it and ruin our name, right?
100%.
Would ruin our
Reputation
name.
is so important.
one
Yeah.
person, yeah.
Yes.
One thing that goes wrong, the flooring didn't come out level or something, and it would ruin our name. And so like, no, we have to be very specific what we do, because managing construction is what we do. If John's not doing a floor plan, if Veronica's not doing a bidding service for somebody, because sometimes somebody will say like, hey, I got a bid from somebody, and I'm like, well, what other bids did you get? Well, I didn't get any. Well, we need to get more. I mean, we had this whole conversation with somebody like, why would you just hire the first guy that came by that says, I can paint your house, I paint your house for, $1,000. I got a special going on. I could do it right now. I got the crew $1,000. And you're like, okay, well, I need to get another bid, right? We get, somebody wants to cut our grass. We find out how much it's going to be. They're going to clean our swimming pool. Not that we have a swimming pool. But
Yet, not yet.
No, not that we have a swimming pool. But
Manifest that.
we're always going to ask those questions like, well, what does it cost? We want to know ahead of time, right? You don't get anybody to do anything without asking. Well, some of these guys are like, the contractor said he can do it for me and he's going to give me a really good deal. And, we want to move forward with him. And I'm like, well,
And he's bidding off of like a schematic design.
he's bidding off just one sheet, right?
Yeah.
Schematic. You're like, where are all the other sheets? I mean, is this, and so, that's when we started asking more questions. Like, we need to get, it's only fair. I know a lot of contractors aren't going to like to hear that, but they do the same thing. It's not like they don't do it for themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Contractor A, B, or C doesn't. Like,
I know I do. I get several. I get several prices on anything.
Yeah.
I know they're building their barn dominium or their house or anything else. They're going to get pricing on that stuff.
You could get pricing on 3 roofers or whatever.
I know, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So how's your house coming? Because your husband's a contractor, right?
My husband is an architectural designer. He makes furniture. He also is a construction superintendent.
Yeah.
He's a jack of all trades.
I like
Our
him.
house is 3 weeks on the market here in San Antonio.
Really?
We just had to drop the price because the market's very weird.
Yeah. So you're moving out of the neighborhood?
Well, out of state. Our new house is under construction in Delaware, so that will be ready by Christmas.
Delaware.
Wow.
Delaware, yeah.
You're done with the 100-degree weather, huh?
I'm done. I'm done.
You're done with the 100-degree weather. Wow. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
awesome.
Cheers.
Take a little trip.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
I like it. Cheers.
Yes. No, but he's doing good.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why
Delaware.
Delaware? Isn't he? Is he from up there?
Oh yeah, he's
Oh, yeah.
born and raised in Delaware.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He moved to Texas about 12 years ago when he got a job at Lake Plato for his architecture, his first architecture job out of college. And we're just ready to go back. It's just, we have some land up there and it's just a different pace of lifestyle. And where we're at, it's just like, it's an interesting part of the city to where it's charming and historic, but there's also like the crime's going up a little bit. And we're just like, we have land by the beach, so that sounds a little bit more
Better.
aligned with, what we've got going on,
So
That's
then you're
awesome.
from Delaware too.
No,
No, she's from
I'm
here.
born and raised on the south side of San
Oh,
Antonio,
wow.
and
She's
I
from
am
here.
proud.
From
Wow,
here.
it's
Yeah,
gonna be
and
different.
you speak Spanish well.
Yes. Well,
I've heard
I mean, it's my first language, and my mom was very interesting. She actually was like very against like our heritage and like being Hispanic, and we moved to the north side of San Antonio, and she's like, I don't want you speaking Spanish anymore, and she's like, we're gonna get you into like a good school, and so I stopped speaking Spanish for a long time.
Oh, wow.
And only recently have I started to like really embrace like, hey, this is my culture. This is what I am. So
The way I knew is I heard you speaking on the phone to somebody, and I was walking by the cubicles, and I was walking by in the morning, and I heard you, and I stopped, and I turned around and I looked. I'm like, holy shit, that's Emily. I'm like, I thought she was white.
I mean-
and then what's her last name? And I'm like, what's her last name? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's not. I'm
well,
like,
now
oh,
it's
yeah.
Lingo.
Well, yeah.
Emily and Lingo. It's definitely like it doesn't match me, but it
Yeah.
definitely sounds very, very white.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And then you're going to Delaware.
And now,
going to
now I'm gonna
Delaware.
be, it's the perfect name to
I
blend in.
I know. You're gonna be in there. They're gonna be
Yeah.
at the little taco place,
Yeah,
and
seriously.
You're gonna have
like when you go to the nail salon and they're all talking to each other, right?
And you can't understand
and
what
you
they're
can't
saying.
And
understand
like I can absolutely understand what you're saying.
But yeah, you're gonna go to the taco place. You're gonna be talking like,
Oh my gosh, you guys, the
This girl
Mexican
can't-
food in Delaware is horrible.
Oh.
man,
Horrible.
heck no.
Go-
You
go
could
to-
open a
go to
food
I
truck.
think I'm
Dallas
gonna
and
actually
not-
open a Mexican restaurant in Delaware and become like a millionaire.
You can open a food truck. Start out with a food truck, and then
Yeah.
you go from there.
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
thinking
definitely.
about it actually.
Wow.
Talked
you
about
could
it.
do it.
We've
I
talked
mean,
about
you
it.
gotta. We have to do the shit that makes us happy.
Why
This
not?
is a rated podcast, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to do the stuff that makes us happy because, I mean, let's face it. Time. Look how long we've known each other, right?
Yeah.
I mean, time has just like it goes, it comes, and
It's too short.
and it's
Yeah.
so short. I mean, we're dressed the way we are because we were at the funeral this morning and we had this scheduled, and I didn't want to change it up. and because we moved it a couple times already.
Yeah.
And then, here we're going to another one, this afternoon for a really good friend of mine I grew up with. And so, the shit doesn't stop. And if we don't let it, I put a vacation reply, which is an auto reply, because that's the only thing is, I put one out to tell people hey, I'm not going to be available because I'm going to be at these, 2 funerals, which, I was. And, I got a text that said, hey, I got your auto reply, but I still had this question and this, but like it's special. And then another one that was like, hey, I know you're out, but I got, I wanted to know, what are they supposed to be doing there this week? Yeah. Shit, man, that's, it can wait a couple of days. Yeah. So I call you back on Monday. I swear, you're at the beginning stages. You're, this is not going to affect the end. The turnover date, which is like December. Yeah. Where are we right now? September.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit, our anniversary is coming up, isn't it?
It is.
Oh yeah.
How many years?
28.
28
Stop.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
You know
God.
what? We have to, Erica. We got to finish up that that one where we talk about how we met and all that stuff and our background. Yeah, we got to finish that one up. But it's because it takes forever to set all this stuff up.
Yeah.
So that's why
Well.
it does. But anyhow, hey, we digressed.
I know.
Which is what we do.
Very much.
I know.
Stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
We have to.
There's
We have to.
urgency culture. I honestly would not have even responded. I would not have even responded to that dentist.
I didn't.
Sometimes you just have to have boundaries and
Yeah.
teach. It's okay to kind of teach your clients how to communicate with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't set those expectations up early, they're just going to continue to,
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Process
talk again
boundaries.
offline.
yeah. Yeah.
Because I got questions about that. You probably could coach me shit.
I say this, but I fail to implement it in my own life.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
will be responding at
Because,
1 in the morning because they're
again-
on Pacific time and I'm trying to be
Yeah.
cognizant of their own life. No, but
Yeah.
And
No,
we
I've
do it
seen-
because we're passionate about it and we want to help
and
them.
that's why we all do
That's
it,
why
right?
we all do
We
it.
all
that's
do
why
it.
we're all here
Yeah.
sitting in this room.
It's in this dark room. I know. It, yeah, I mean, life is just, it's an interesting journey. It can be,
Yeah.
You got to just embrace it. I mean, it's good that, we all met when we did. We all worked together. We've met, we know a lot of people from the old company. Some that, I've asked to come on, but, I don't know. They have to make up their own mind whether they want to or not. Yeah. So which is fine. Yeah. I mean, it takes us, we have to get these in at a certain time because, we still have to do the work.
Right.
We're still doing the work. So, I mean, I'm traveling alone next week and so is Veronica. Because it's just one of those things. We don't like doing it. I hate it, but the schedules didn't align, and we have to travel separately, which is not which is not why she, got out of. She retired from nursing. So we did that so I wouldn't, because I was gone all continuously.
Yeah.
So
And I would work 12-hour shifts, so I would just go home and go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she was working where she could get multiple days off in a row, so we could go turn an office over for somebody else.
Oh my gosh.
And that was she would work to go
7
work
days
with
a
me.
week.
You're such a
You know?
trooper. Oh my gosh.
I know, she's a hard worker, man.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. And then we were telling you before we hit record that she took my dad to the hospital because he had to be admitted for stomach issue, and then her dad. Had
For
to
heart
go
issues
For heart issues.
last night.
I mean, so hopefully he'll be out in a few days, God
Yes,
willing.
hopefully so.
Don't forget to pray for Veronica's dad.
Yes, we
Yeah.
will.
So yeah, I
It's-
mean, I know, we have some more stuff on here. We probably should ask, but I know we covered that
I think
one.
we covered a lot.
We did. Hey,
Yes.
Emily, thanks for coming. We appreciate your time. It was good to see you again.
Thanks for having
What
me.
is your email address again?
Yes, emily.lingo@surfct.com.
Awesome. Okay. Well, great. We'll see if we can get that in the show notes. And
Yes,
links.
follow SurfCT. Yes, at
SurfCT.
SurfCT.com. At SurfCT.com.
okay, got it.
Yes.
We'll have that in the show notes too, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, and then John still won't give out his Instagram, and mine
Nope.
is
Nope.
mine is someplace on up here, over there, maybe in the bottom. I don't know. And then
Mine too.
Veronica's too.
I really don't. I don't even.
No.
Yeah, just 260 dental billers.
Yeah, there we go.
love
260 dental billers. All right, you guys have a good one. We'll see you guys in the next one.